Hi guys, it's been a while, but welcome back to my channel. I go by the name of Nalo Bricolage, and today I'll be reviewing episode 1 of BET Presents The Encore. This episode is called Let the Music Play. So basically, the encore, the premise of the show is taking different women that were in girl groups in the past and bringing them in a household to work on music for 30 days. So they have to put an album together and then they give a performance. And these women were in R&B girl groups, with the exception of Nivea, because she's the only solo artist. So yeah, we have girls from 702, 3LW, Total, Cherish, and Black. So basically, the show starts off with Fallon and Felicia, who were in the girl group Cherish, arriving to the house. Then, soon after, Pamela from 702 joins the household. And the girls were a bit shady. The twins were very shady, because they made mention of the fact of how first of all, one of the twins didn't know who Pam was. And I'm like, how do you make R&B music and you don't know Pam from Total? So disrespectful. And throughout the episode, they were making a lot of comments about some of the women being older. And they were very ageist, and it's not like they're spring chicken anyways. They're literally like 2 years older than me, 2 or 3, so they're in their 30s or whatever. But yeah, the twins are very rude. I mean, their critique, there's some factuality to their critique throughout the episodes, but they're so nasty with it. And that's what I don't like. Like, you can be truthful without being nasty. But anyways, there we go. So up next, arriving to the household, is Nivea. I love Nivea's energy. Anytime when she's on screen, she just makes me smile. Like, even when the girls are arguing or whatever, you can find Nivea in a corner eating her snacks. Nivea is definitely the comic relief of this show, and I look forward to seeing more of her in the episodes. Then soon after, we have Shamari from Black. I like Shamari as well too, and I will say what I find is interesting. I watched Shamari like about a year ago on Real Housewives of Atlanta. I think it was a year ago that she was on the show, not the last season that just wrapped up, no, but the previous season before. And her fashion has come a long way. Like, sis has been killing it in this episode 1 with all the looks. I really love the rainbow hair. She looks so friggin' youthful. Like, when they were showing the clips of all the things that she did with Black and how she was in a movie, Bring It On, when you compare it to how she looks right now, she looks the same, and that's been like over 20 years. So Mama does not age. She looks beautiful. Then, of course, we have Aubrey, who enters the house ever so extra, as Aubrey O'Day always does. I grew up watching Aubrey on Making the Band, and like, I loved her so much. It's very sad to see how she altered her face, because Aubrey was like a naturally beautiful woman, and now she just looks I'll just put it this way. Her face is very distracting. Aubrey has a very distracting face, but the personality is still there. So I know I'm going to enjoy every bit of Aubrey O'Day on this show. And of course, we have the two sisters, Lamisha and Irish, who are from 702. I don't know if you guys know that they're actually like biological sisters. It took me many years to figure that out. I grew up watching them, but it's only like when I was like in my late 20s, I learned that they were sisters. But yeah, they came into the house. I'm not sure what they're gonna bring. I will say Irish seems to be like, the sweet one, like the sweetheart of the show. And Lamisha so far is giving me like she's very much a truth teller. She's very direct, and I like that. So we'll see more of what they have to offer. And of course, the last person to arrive at the house, no other than Keely Williams of 3LW and Cheetah Girls fame. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how Keely will be behaving throughout this series, because in real life, the things that I've heard about her in 3LW and in the Cheetah Girls, and just seeing the way how she operates on social media over the past years, Keely is very problematic. which I find is very interesting because as she's on this show, she's talking about, yeah, she wants them to break the curse of girl groups not working out and blah, 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 like being all positive and stuff when I know that she's hella toxic, which even still brings me to the point of when she was talking about how 3LW disbanded. She said, when Notori left. Like, hold up, sis. We all know Notori did not leave the group. You threw chicken at Notori. You were very ignorant and belligerent towards Notori. So, for her to say when Notori left, I'm like, girl, we all know the history, so no need to be lying. But me personally, I was very devastated when Trail W broke up because I was a big fan of them. So much so, I have their first album. I know this album by heart. So yeah. So let's get into it now. So all the girls are in the house. They're introducing themselves to each other, admiring each other, you know, as in like being appreciative of the work that they done in the past. Then it gets a bit tricky because naturally, Keely Williams is not on this show to be part of the group. And she mentions it to them that she's actually going to be their creative director. Because her story is that after she left being in front of the camera, she now works with artists, developing them. And I'm like, what artist has Keely developed that has a success rate? Because I know there was this one girl group that she was working with, but I haven't heard of anything of them becoming successful. So then, of course, the twins weren't having it. And of course, some other ladies in the house were like, girl, like, you're here in this house you to be part of the process. What makes you think that you're going to be creative director? But the twins specifically weren't having it. And the twins were also mentioning the fact that they don't want to be in a group with older women. And I'm just like, what? Like, their ageism throughout this episode is disheartening, especially because they're like in their 30s. I think they're 33. And if you look at somebody like Shamari is 41, and Shamari looks younger than them, can sing better than them, and can keep up with choreography. So I don't understand why age is an issue. I think if anything, that should be taken into account with whether someone would make a good member in the group is whether they can sing, keep up with the choreography, and if they blend well collectively. And I don't think age is a variable that should be taken into account. So yeah, basically, so we had that happen. Then the next day, Pam goes to the twins and has a prayer with them, and apparently the twins have a change of heart. So they were like, yeah, they made a bad impression last night, because what they did was that they threatened to leave the house and to leave the process. But they know very well that they need this show. Even though they've been writing behind the scenes and making money and stuff like that and doing very well for themselves, they definitely can benefit from being on this show. Because to be honest, nobody was checking for Fallon and Felicia. Nobody knew what Fallon and Felicia were doing. So they come back in the house, they apologize to the women. Keely was not buying the apology. Irish was not buying the apology either. So as they're in the house, they hear a surprise voice, which happens to be Sita from Sita's World, which is the avatar that, you know, when you used to watch BET in the 90s, early 2000s, she would have her countdown show and just would have commentary throughout the BET programming. So that was a bit nostalgic for me because I remember watching Sita's World. So it was really nice to see. Soon after, a vocal coach by the name of Cinnamon arrives and gives all the girls a task of to sing a little bit so she can hear where they are vocally. For me, the standout person vocally who really stood out the most to me was Nivea. Like, and she was like, I can't sing, but Nivea really killed it. Like, Nivea is one of those people that is so gifted vocally that it doesn't take any effort for her to sound good. Like, she sounded so beautiful. Shamari sounded great. Aubrey sounded fantastic. Let's go to who didn't sound so good. So Keely didn't sound good. But then again, when Keely was in a group, 3LW, she was more so the rapper, and you know, she carried a little tune. I'm not sure how much singing she did in the Cheetah Girls because I was so upset about 3LW breaking up. I never got into the Cheetah Girls. And next up, Lamisha. Lamisha girl. Lamisha was in a confessional talking about that she has something to prove because when she was in 702, Mila did all the lead vocals. And previously 702 existed and there were four members and one of them also included Irish's twin. And I believe at that moment they were lesser known, and that point Lamisha was doing the leads. But then after they got a switcheroo and apparently Mila was added to 702 later, and Mila of course has the more stronger voice, so all the leads started to go to Mila. But I wanted to give Lamisha a benefit of a doubt because I'm like, she's talking about wanting to prove a point. But when it was her time to sing during the vocal training, Mama sounded a mess.
Your sister. You ready? After what happened with 702, I'm trying to prove that I have more to offer than just being a backup singer. I will love you anyway, even if you cannot stay. I think you're all the one for me. Here's where you ought to be.
I'm like, how you here talking about you dislike the fact that one of your band members always got lead, blah, blah, blah. But I'm literally sitting down here listening to you in a vocal training session sing, and you sound a hot mess. I mean, like, no wonder Mila did all the leads. You know, if you had something to prove, I would have think you would have been more prepared. But I'm gonna give her some leeway and I'm going to see how her voice develops throughout the series, because it can be that maybe she was nervous, because if I recall correctly, while she was singing, it looked like her eyes were closed and her face was trembling, so maybe that's why she didn't sound she didn't sound as good as I expected her to sound. Then we get on to Irish. Irish was the worst of the bunch.
Say, I think you are the one for me.
Irish is a little shaky.
And here's where you wanna be.
A lot of shaky.
You're not my...
Irish was my favorite member of 702, but it kind of makes me wonder, was Irish just in a group just because she's pretty? Because Irish, even to this day, she's still a beautiful woman, but baby girl's vocals, I'm like, you're one of the most memorable girl groups, R&B girl groups of the 90s, and this is what you sound like vocally. Okay, she needs a lot of work on her voice. I love her personality. She seems very sweet, but this is a show about singing, performing, and to be honest, her vocals were very rusty and she lacked a lot of control of her voice. So as things continue, the women are in the house, they're talking and discussing stuff, and then in comes two new guests, which happens to be a songwriter and a producer. I believe the producer name is Cosign and the songwriter's name is Elijah. They have credits for working with artists such as Usher and Rihanna, just to name a few. So they basically had a session where they sat down in the studio and talked about what are the women's vision, what kind of music they want to make. From there starts to be some conflict, because you have Pam. Pam is very much in her zone of being religious and, serving God all the way, not just half the way. So she doesn't feel comfortable with content that is sexual or anything of that nature. Lamisha feels the same, because she says that she's a mom and she doesn't want her kids thinking that she's a hoe. She said something along those lines. Then you have the twins that are like, what kind of music are we going to be making? And Nivea is like, So there's a divide. You have those who want to make music that is censored. Then you have those who want to make anything, so it can be raunchy, it can be sexual, that sort of stuff. So basically the women have to figure it out. Now it's that time of day where the ladies end up going to dance class. I was really hoping that the choreographer would have been Lorianne Gibson because of everything that she did on making the band. I thought, some way, somehow they would have tied her in it. But no, they went with Aaliyah J, which is also a good contemporary choreographer. And it was really nice to see the women dance. A lot of them need work in that category. Lamisha needs a lot of work in dancing. Pamela. Nivea was, she was doing a little thing. For me, the strongest in the dance category was definitely Keely. And that's one thing you have to give Keely Williams, is that she knows how to dance. Just seeing her in her like sweatsuit doing the choreography reminded me of the Never Get Enough video with Lil Wayne, where she was just dancing. Like, she's an amazing dancer, and it's really nice to see, because Keely isn't the Keely that we saw like in the Trail W. Like, now she's more bigger in weight and stuff like that, and it's nice to see someone that is not doesn't have the conventional dancer body by society standards. Dancing is not just for one body type. Dancing is for any kind of body type. So it's really nice to see Keely kill it. And yeah, so that's basically it for the dancing. Then the women get to the house and they started discussing. Aubrey comes up with the brilliant idea of there being two groups. If Keely's not in the equation of wanting to be in a group, then there's 8 women, so let's create a group of 4 and 4. So she basically came to that. So like, the the women that want to make music that is not sexual or stuff like that, they go in one group. And then for Aubrey, her vision was to be her, the twins, and I forgot who else she wanted in the group. But basically, Lamisha wasn't feeling that, because Lamisha felt as though that it started to become a popularity contest, and people are clicking up. And, Shamari was also, so Aubrey, I believe Aubrey wanted Shamari to be in their group as well, but Shamari wasn't feeling it. Like, she wants to work with everybody, which I think is the important thing. But that's definitely something that caused a lot of rift in the household. So once that was done, Keely was having a discussion with the twins and Irish and Lamisha, and Keely said that she thought that what Aubrey was trying to do was divisive. And of course, the twins, being who they are, go into the kitchen and tell Aubrey what Keely said. And I found this was so interesting, because when the show started in the beginning, Keely was like, she knew Aubrey for a long time, and like, it's nice to have someone that she can work with in the house. But then towards the end of the episode, it's like they're going against each other. So basically, when Aubrey found out that Keely was saying that she's divisive, as soon as Keely walks into the room, Aubrey checks her on that, and they start arguing. And Keely was like, yeah, you want to have 2 groups. That's a divide. That's divisive. So then Aubrey's response to that was like, but how is it this divisive or manipulating when I told you guys in your face, this is what I think should be, an option. It's an experiment. We have to figure it out. But yeah, definitely Aubrey was being divisive with that suggestion. And of course, I think Keely is just as much as a manipulator and a trouble starter. So I'm very curious to see how this show is going to go. There's really a lot of potential here. Aside from just the music, it's entertaining to watch. Nivea gives me life. Like, when she saw the producer guy, she was talking about, how good he looks, and she just wants to wrap her legs around him. But if she did that, she'll probably break him, because he's so skinny. And Aubrey cracked me up when she was in a confessional talking crap about Keely, and she was like, the only thing I know about Keely Williams is that she likes to throw a bucket of chicken at people, because when I was on Broadway with Notori told me that Keely threw a bucket of chicken at her. And we all who grew up in that era know that to be true, and that was one of the reasons why Notori left the group, because Keely was very disrespectful towards her, and she did throw the chicken. So Keely is a chicken thrower, a bucket of chicken thrower, or whatever you want to call it.
That's all I know about this girl. She throws buckets of chicken. She's a chicken bucket thrower.
But yeah, guys, that was my review of BET presents The Encore. I enjoyed the first episode. Shout out to Carlos King. The production value is really good, you know, because before watching the show and hearing about it, I did think to myself, like, I hope it's not going to be no poorly produced kind of thing, because out of all the children of Viacom, for some reason BET gets really bad budgeting, that everything, well, most of the times most of the shows look low budget. But I really love that this show is looking well produced, well put together. They're living in a nice house. The drama is ongoing, and which brings me to this thought. When Keely came in, she seemed very decisive in the fact of knowing that she's gonna be a creative director. So it kind of makes me wonder if she's like a plant, you know, that they brought her on the show to store up like drama a bit, because she really didn't come with the intention of being part of the process. And I see a lot of communication between her and Carlos King. So I wonder like if she has, you know, a upper ranking that over the others in the show. Also, if you notice as well, when she breaks the fourth wall on the show, like she's talking directly towards the camera. So it kind of feels as though like Keely does have a special placement in the show that is a slightly above the other women. I could be wrong, but maybe if we watch more of the episodes, we will see more about that. But definitely, I like this first episode. It was entertaining. It made me smile. And yeah, I look forward to watching more of it. And definitely, guys, I made a playlist, a Spotify playlist with all of the music from these women that are on the show, you know, all their bops. So be sure to check out the link below, click it, and enjoy the music and let the music play, as the episode name says. So have a good day and stay tuned for my review of episode 2. Stay blessed.